Good morning, boys and girls. Today is Tuesday, April 21st or 21. Yesterday was Monday, April 20. So if yesterday was number 20 and today is 21, what will tomorrow be? Let's count and see. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and tomorrow will be number 22. Very good. So this week, if you joined us yesterday, you know that we're doing a whole study of birds. And the study of birds is a big word. It's called ornithology. Can you say that with me? Ornithology. Very good. So you are going to be learning all about birds this week, and I think Tessa's going to be coming on in just a minute to teach you about that.
Hi, this is Tessa. Today we're going to have so much fun because we're going to do some bird watching. Have you ever done bird watching before? No? In order to do bird watching, you have to be very quiet and stealthy. You can't make a sound, and you have to try to move very slowly so not to frighten the birds. Today, in your bird book, you are going to write some colors like black, brown, red, blue, yellow, and gray. And then you're going to sit somewhere very quietly in the morning with your binoculars and see if you can find some birds. Every time you see a bird with a certain color, put a little mark in your book. And then after 20 minutes is done, you will see what color birds you saw the most often, which colors you saw the least, and which colors you saw the same. Then for math today, you can create a bar graph to show which colors you saw the most, least, and the same. Have fun bird watching today. I also have a little activity for you today to learn how to draw a bird. It takes a long time to do this, but be patient and have fun. I know I would love to see your drawings, and Mrs. Lusardo would too. So after you're finished your drawing, please take a picture of it and email it to Mrs. Lusardo. Here she is. Have a great day.
Tessa was so excited to speak with you today and tell you all about our wonderful bird activities this week. One of the things you also have in your packet, this week we're going to be working on learning how to write numbers. Yesterday, the packet, you had the numbers 1 and 2 that you were learning to write. Today we're going to learn how to write the number 3, and we're going to learn how to write the number 4. So, I'm just going to show you the number 3. What you're going to do is you're going to start just underneath the top line, and I made a little dot here to show you. Okay, and you're going to do a backwards letter C, but you're going to make it start here, go around almost like a backwards circle, and come in on the dotted line. Once you get to the dotted line, then you're going to trace it back. So you're going to come this way, trace it back, around, and make it round again, and come up just a little bit and end right there. So around to the top line, around, in on the dotted line, trace it back out, and go around and up just a little bit. So it's almost like half a snowman. All right, I'm going to do it one more time. Ready? Under the line, go up and to the right, touch the top line, around, come into the middle dotted line, back, retrace it, around, out again, touch the bottom line, and then back up just a little bit. and that's the number 3. Number 4 is a little bit easier. Okay, you have your top line, and we're going to make almost like a letter L. So we're going to start at the top line, come down, straight, stop at the middle line, the dotted line, and trace the dotted line out. Okay, then not where you ended, but just come in just a little tiny bit and put your pencil in between. I'm going to make a little dot so you can see the spot in between the top line and the middle line, in just a little bit from where you ended. Put your pencil there, and then you're going to make a straight line that goes all the way down to the bottom line. And you have a number 4. So I go down to the dotted line, out, bring my pencil in, go up just a little bit, and straight down to the bottom. That is a number 4. Going to do it one more time. Ready? Top line, straight down to the middle line, out on the dotted line, up just a little bit, and straight down again. And there is your number 4. Now I think Crystal Ball wants to stop in and say hello.
Magic, magic, magic ball. Please help me to see them all. Shine your light so nice and bright. Tell me now who's in your sight. I see Carson and Knightley. And from pre-K 3, I see Sawyer. From kindergarten, I see Grant. I see Luke B. from first grade. And I see Alex S. from second grade. Have a tremendous Tuesday, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Capron, and I am so happy to visit with you today and share one of my favorite Bible stories with you, the story of the wedding feast at Cana. In it, you will hear one of Mrs. Capron's big words. That word is the word miracle. A miracle is when God does something wonderful for us that cannot be explained, even by scientists. Now, here is the story of the wedding feast at Cana. Jesus turns water into wine. Jesus and his disciples went to a wedding at Cana in Galilee with his mother Mary. Everyone was having fun, but Mary noticed that the wine had run out. Afraid the party would be spoiled, she went to Jesus and whispered, "They have no more wine." "Mother, why are you coming to me?" Jesus replied. "I am not ready yet." But Jesus was ready. Mary knew it in her heart. She told the servants, "Do as he says." Jesus pointed to 6 large stone jars. "Please fill them with water." The servants filled them right to the brim. "Now," said Jesus, "fill a cup and take it to the master of the banquet to taste." And so they did. The man drank some, although he did not know where it had come from. He smacked his lips and called the bridegroom to one side. "This is the best wine I've ever tasted. Where is it from?" The bridegroom didn't know, but Mary smiled to herself, knowing that everything Jesus gave was holy. Jesus had turned the water into wine. This was his first miracle. Dear God, help me to use my gifts for your glory and honor. Amen. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and maybe you could do something wonderful for someone in your family today. Goodbye.
Hi. Today I'd like to read to you the story, Charlotte's Web. We're going to continue today with chapter 5, and it's called Charlotte. If you remember yesterday in chapter 4, the chapter was called Loneliness, and Wilbur was having a really tough day. But at the very end, he heard a very kind voice that was calling to him. And here we go, chapter 5, Charlotte. The night seemed long. Wilbur's stomach was empty and his mind was full. And when your stomach is empty and your mind is full, it's always hard to sleep. A dozen times during the night, Wilbur woke and stared into the blackness, listening to the sounds and trying to figure out what time it was. A barn is never perfectly quiet. Even at midnight, there is usually something stirring. The first time he woke, he heard Templeton gnawing a hole in the grain bin. Templeton's teeth scraped loudly against the wood and made quite a racket. That crazy rat, thought Wilbur. Why does he have to stay up all night, grinding his clashers and destroying people's property? Why can't he go to sleep like any decent animal? The second time Wilbur woke, he heard the goose turning on her nest and clucking to herself. "What time is it?" whispered Wilbur to the goose. "Probably 11:30, said the goose. "Why aren't you asleep, Wilbur?" "Too many things on my mind," said Wilbur. "Well," said the goose, "that is not my trouble. I have nothing at all at my mind, but I've too many things under my behind. Have you ever tried to sleep while sitting on 8 eggs? "No," replied Wilbur. "I suppose it is uncomfortable." "How long does it take a goose egg to hatch?" Approximately 30 days, all told," answered the goose. "But I cheat a little. On warm afternoons, I just pull a little straw over the eggs and go out for a walk." Wilbur yawned and went back to sleep. In his dreams, he heard again the voice saying, "I'll be a friend to you. Go to sleep. You'll see me in the morning." About half an hour before dawn, Wilbur woke and listened. The barn was still dark. The sheep lay motionless. Even the goose was quiet. Overhead, on the main floor, nothing stirred. The cows were resting. The horses dozed. Templeton had quit work and gone off somewhere on an errand. The only sound was a slight scraping noise from the rooftop, where the weather vane swung back and forth. Wilbur loved the barn when it was like this, calm and quiet, waiting for light. Day is almost here, he thought. Through a small window, a faint gleam appeared, and one by one the stars went out. Wilbur could see the goose a few feet away. She sat with her head tucked under a wing. Then he could see the sheep and the lambs. The sky lightened. "Oh, beautiful day! It is here at last. Today I shall find my friend." Wilbur looked everywhere. He searched his pen thoroughly. He examined the window ledge, stared up at the ceiling, but he saw nothing new. Finally, he decided he would have to speak up. He hated to break the lovely stillness of dawn by using his voice, but he couldn't think of any other way to locate the mysterious new friend who was nowhere to be seen. So Wilbur cleared his throat. "Attention, please," he said in a loud, firm voice. "Will the party who addressed me at bedtime last night kindly make herself or himself known by giving an appropriate sign or signal? Wilbur paused and listened. All the other animals lifted their heads and stared at him, and Wilbur blushed. But he was determined to get in touch with his unknown friend. "Attention, please," he said. "I will repeat the message. Will the party who addressed me at bedtime last night kindly speak up? Please tell me where you are if you are my friend." The sheep looked at each other in disgust. "Stop your nonsense, Wilbur," said the oldest sheep. "If you have a new friend here, you are probably disturbing his rest. And the quickest way to spoil a friendship is to wake somebody up in the morning before he is ready. How can you be sure your friend is an early riser?" "I beg everyone's pardon," whispered Wilbur. "I didn't mean to be objectionable." He lay down meekly in the manure, facing the door. He didn't know it, but his friend was very near. And the old sheep was right. His friend was still asleep. Soon Lurvy appeared with slops for breakfast. Wilbur rushed out, ate everything in a hurry, and licked his trough. The sheep moved off down the lane. The gander waddled along behind them, pulling grass. And then, just as Wilbur was settling down for his morning nap, he heard again the thin voice that addressed him the night before. "Salutations," said the voice. Wilbur jumped to his feet. What?" he cried. "Salutations," repeated the voice. "What are they? Where are you?" screamed Wilbur. "Please, please tell me where you are, and what are salutations?" "Salutations are greetings," said the voice. "When I say salutations, it's just my fancy way of saying hello or good morning. Actually, it's a silly expression. Excuse me. And I am surprised that I used it at all. As for my whereabouts, that's easy. Look up here in the corner of the doorway. Here I am. I'm waving. Let me show you the picture. At last Wilbur saw the creature that had spoken to him in such a kindly way. Stretched across the upper part of the doorway was a big spider web, and hanging from the top of the web, head down, was a large gray spider. She was about the size of a gumdrop. She had 8 legs, and she was waving one of them at Wilbur in a friendly greeting. "See me now?" she asked. "Oh, yes, indeed," said Wilbur. "Yes, indeed. How are you? Good morning. Salutations. Very pleased to meet you. What is your name, please? May I have your name?" "My name," said the spider, "is Charlotte." "Charlotte what?" asked Wilbur eagerly. "Charlotte A. Cavativa. But just call me Charlotte." "I think you're beautiful," said Wilbur. "Well, I am pretty," replied Charlotte. "There's no denying that. Almost all spiders are rather nice-looking. I'm not as flashy as some, but I'll do. I wish I could see you, Wilbur, as clearly as you can see me." "Why can't you?" asked the pig. "I'm right here." "Yes, but I'm nearsighted," said Charlotte. "I've always been dreadfully nearsighted. It's good in some ways, not so good in others. Watch me wrap up this fly." A fly that had been crawling along Wilbur's trough had flown up and blundered into the lower part of Charlotte's web and was tangled in its sticky threads. The fly was beating its wings furiously, trying to break loose and free. "First," said Charlotte, "I dive at him." And she plunged head first toward the fly. As she dropped a tiny silken thread unwound from her rear. "Next, I wrap him up." She grabbed the fly, threw a few jets of silk around it, and rolled it over and over, wrapping it so that it couldn't move. Wilbur watched in horror. He could hardly believe what he was seeing, and although he detested flies, he was sorry for this one. "There," said Charlotte. "Now I'll knock him out so he'll be more comfortable." She bit at the fly. "He can't feel a thing now," she remarked. "He'll make a perfectly good breakfast for me." "You mean you eat flies?" gasped Wilbur. "Certainly. Flies, bugs, grasshoppers, choice beetles, moths, butterflies, tasty cockroaches, gnats, midges, daddy-long-legs, centipedes, mosquitoes, crickets, anything that is careless enough to get caught in my web. I have to live, don't I?" "Why, yes, of course," said Wilbur. "Do they taste good?" "Delicious. Of course, I really don't eat them. I drink them. I drink their blood. I love blood," said Charlotte, and her pleasant, thin voice grew even thinner and more pleasant. "Don't say that," groaned Wilbur. "Please don't say that." "Why not? It's true. And I have to say what is true. I am not entirely happy about my diet of flies and bugs, but it's the way that I'm made. A spider has to pick up a living somehow or other, and I happen to be a trapper. I just naturally build a web and trap flies and other insects. My mother was a trapper before me. Her mother was a trapper before that. All of our family have been trappers. Way back for thousands and thousands of years, we spiders have been laying for flies and bugs." "It's a miserable inheritance," said Wilbur gloomily. He was sad because his new friend was so bloodthirsty. "Yes, it is," said Charlotte, "but I can't help it. I don't know how the first spider in the early days of the world happened to think up this fancy idea of spinning a web, but she did, and it was clever of her, too. And since then, all of us spiders have to work the same trick. It's not a bad pitch, on the whole." "It's cruel," replied Wilbur, who did not intend to be argued out of his position. "Well, you can't talk," said Charlotte. "You have your meals brought to you in a pail. Nobody feeds me. I have to get my own living. I live by my wits. I have to be sharp and clever, lest I go hungry. I have to think things out, catch what I can, take what comes. And it just so happens, my friend, that what comes is flies and insects and bugs. And furthermore," said Charlotte, shaking one of her legs, "do you realize that if I didn't catch bugs and eat them, bugs would increase and multiply and get so numerous that they would destroy the whole earth, wipe everything out?" "Really?" said Wilbur. "I wouldn't want that to happen. Perhaps your web is a good thing after all." The goose had been listening to this conversation and chuckling to herself. "There are a lot of good things Wilbur doesn't know about life," she thought. "He really is a very innocent little pig. He doesn't even know what's going to happen to him around Christmas time. He has no idea that Mr. Zuckerman and Lurvy are plotting to kill him." And the goose raised herself a bit and poked her egg a little further under her so that they would receive the full heat from her warm body and soft feathers. Charlotte stood quietly over the fly, preparing to eat it, and Wilbur lay down and closed his eyes. He was tired from his wakeful night and from the excitement of meeting someone for the first time. A breeze brought him the smell of clover, the sweet-smelling world beyond his fence. "Well," he thought, "I've got a new friend, all right. But what a gamble friendship is. Charlotte is fierce, brutal, scheming, bloodthirsty, everything I don't like. How can I learn to like her, even though she is pretty and, of course, clever?" Wilbur was merely suffering the doubts and fears that often go with finding a new friend. In good time, he was to discover that he was mistaken about Charlotte. Underneath her rather bold and cruel exterior, she had a kind heart, and she was to prove loyal and true to the very end. And that's the end of chapter 5. Pretty interesting girl Charlotte is, and the news that is brought. The next chapter, called chapter 6, is called Summer Days, and we'll work on chapter 6 tomorrow. Have a great day. Have so much fun bird watching. I can't wait to see what kind of things, or hear about the kind of things that you learn and see and do. Have a wonderful day, boys and girls. We'll see you tomorrow.